Well, hi everyone, and thank you very much for watching or listening. It's Liam Hartree here today with another episode of Simply Inspired podcast. And today I'm joined by a very, very special guest. Today's guest, Asma Tariq. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that the right way. Now we've been practicing that. Today's guest is a very, very inspiring young lady. This lady is a winner of the Global Youth Award in 2021, I believe a financial guru exploring multiple sources of income, a very brave and inspirational woman with many facets. In researching for this interview, as well as the multiple income streams, I've come across a number of inspirational broadcasts that she does, many different ways of making a difference and having a positive impact upon this world that we live in and inspiring other people to do the same. So, as always, today we will be talking about Asma's life herself, but we'll also be talking about some bigger themes, including bravery, facing uncertainty, flexibility, and trying new ventures in life, and other topics like that, which hopefully will help you, the viewers, and inspire you in your own lives. So, here we are today from Cyprus to Pakistan. The wonders of Zoom connecting us around the world never fail to amaze me. But Asma, it is a wonderful pleasure to have you here today. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much for joining.
Absolutely, Priya, for me. Thank you for inviting me, and I hope it will be wonderful.
Yes, I hope so. Wonderful and hopefully fun as well. And
Absolutely.
I actually heard about you by chance with a gentleman by the name of John Shearer. I believe you were talking with him in Australia. Shout out to John. Anyway, talking about you now, your life has been very inspiring so far. You have achieved a great deal so far, and there's more yet to come. So I'm going to actually go back to your upbringing, if that's okay, and a little bit about where your life began, because as I understand it, your original dream was to enter the medical profession, was to be a doctor. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, it was. Now I find out like it was not a dream for me, but I think it was a goal. It was a goal at that time and a big goal of life. And you feel like that if you achieve, there are, I think it's everywhere. There are certain professions are with that. There are certain jobs which were considered as important and big, so you also want to achieve that, and you think that after achieving that you would be successful and you are going to achieve everything, right? And you can also make your family, friends, or loved ones happy because of that, that specific thing. So yes, it was like that.
Absolutely. And can you share with us a little bit about your life growing up, your family, and a little bit about where you're from as well, just so people have the context, especially the fact that some people will know your story, but some people will be hearing this for the very first time. So please do share with us a little bit about where you're from, please, Asma. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm from Pakistan. I think Pakistan, Asia, and people are aware of that. It's We are the neighbor to India. So some people consider that Pakistan is a part of India, but Pakistan is a separate country. But it was a subcontinent, or it's a part of subcontinent. And there, I belong to a Gujarat. It's a small city, but it's very important for Indian heritage. And Indian heritage is basically where the civilization started. So that's very important. So I belong to Gujarat. And with that, yes, I grew up with my sisters. Like I don't have a brother. I don't have. So that's why it was more uh, like we all are so much opinionated, and when you're sisters, so you have your opinion. So childhood also like that, with the quarrels, with the fights, also the lot of love. So it was more like a good, I would say like it's more like a wonderful upbringing. But yes, before that, also in childhood, I was like, there also you face like that being an elder sister. I was like a little bit more conserved, and then not very confident. shy because I'm an introvert. So that's what I learned recently, that I have a different personality. But in a childhood, because of my personality attribute, I faced difficulty among people. So I was like, I'm someone with less capability, and not able to deal with people, deal with stuff. So that always made me confused. Then I fail, and with that also a slow learner. So that kept me away from my fellows, my friends. And because of that, my childhood was kind of a, I think, a lone person in the solitude. But with the passage of time, I learned that this is part of my personality. So intelligence also something, because I think you consider that intelligence is something that's given by the God, that was considered. But you learn that it's not something, it's something that you develop. So it was just like that. I would say even still I'm learning. My childhood was like whole journey of learning from one step to second step to second third step. So even learning few words was at that time was a big thing for me. To get good marks was a big thing for me initially, right? So these kind of things. But I know that even from my first grade, I'm learning something, and with that learning, I'm also developing myself. So it was more about. But yes, I was not a lot involved with the people. I was more involved with my family and with books. So that paid me later. That really helped me later. Like,
Absolutely. Well, that's a beautiful description of not only of your upbringing, but of your personal transformation and of your self-discovery, I would say, learning about yourself. It's a wonderful thing. I think many people will relate to that journey as well in a positive way. Um, so we'll come back to that shortly about the different facets of you, the different areas that you focus on. Before we do, though, when I was researching for this, I came across that this dream, or not so much a dream, as you said, but this focus of being a doctor didn't come to be in the end. It didn't actually happen. And with this, not to dwell on anything negative, but you turned a negative situation into a positive situation. But at the time, I'm sure it didn't seem that way when it was happening. So, can you share with us a little bit about the reasons why your life changed direction, basically, and how that happened, please?
yeah, sure, sure. Absolutely. Actually, my life is full of drama. Like nothing happened in no in a normal way. So I always have a like there always some adventure happens normally before everything. So even even for short things, that doesn't matter for most of the people, but for me that's a big thing because for me also. So yes, that's the same thing. You always wanted to be, as I shared with you, like when you are the kid who's kind of little bit different than the other kids. So because of that, then you face kind of, you want attention basically, and you also with the attention you want your family's love and all that. So you do one thing, you started to work on yourself, and you face the areas where you are good in. I was not as good in communication with the people, not like the other kids, but I was good in studies. So I think that's my area. I find out that that's my area where I can work. So I started working on that, and I started always, like, you're always getting good marks. You, it's kind of you're fulfilling your parents' expectations, and with that expectations, when you fulfill the expectation, also get a rise in. So it's the like the demands get horizon, and you fulfill then the next one. So that was basically the dream of my mother. So I wanted to make her happy. So I think that was a goal. So I took, though I now I don't recommend that. And like I like the other subject, mathematics, but I choose biology because I was also good and I got good grades basically. So that was not a, but I was more interested into. But after my, like after me, my all three sisters choose the subject which they like, which in which they had interest, not the one like where good they get the good grades. So that was the experiment I did. So after that I stopped that. So yes, after that I choose that and I work on, but it didn't happen because there was something wrong inside me and I knew that I was not for that. Insidely, even I don't know, I mentioned that, I think I, but even insidely I knew that like even I get the admission, I will leave that later, because at first step I have fulfilled this thing, I have fulfilled the expectation. After that I would leave, and I wanted to join media and journalism, so I will do that. But God teach me that you can't do that, and you can't waste a seed, because medical is a very important profession, and that seed is very important. I think even it's you, like it's a among thousands of people there are hundreds of seeds, so you can't waste that. So just in the test, that's the last test, I got rejected. It was a hard, and that was the first time I got rejected like this. So there was two. So that felt, that just broke you, like how I can get rejected. And when you're not ready to get any, when you're not ready to accept the rejection and when you never faced it. So that totally kind of demolished me. I got so, like my personality, I was so irritated. I tried to had fights with everyone because there was something inside me was not right. But after some time, till how many days people can bear you. After that, you have to work on yourself. But that was also the point where I learned many things and I started working on myself. I took like I continued my studies, but that again that was the studies. Um, Whatever my parents said, my mother said I choose that subject, and even at that point was I lost my father during that period of time, so that was also a breakdown. So there lots of things were going on, not accepting. Even I was not accepting, like he said. But I think this is the period when God made you, like God turned you, and my personality totally shifted. And from that terrifying, unconfident kid, you started working on yourself and you try to find out your potential. I really wanted to write since childhood, but I never had that courage to write. I started writing that. But at first, at that time, it was just a catharsis, like you're writing for yourself as you're like I pen down my emotions and my feeling. And when later I shared that among the people, and they were like, that's what we wanted to say. That's our these are our emotions. So I realized that okay, I should write, I should continue that. With that, as I said, I wanted to be like, right, I wanted to be in media and journalism. So I started writing columns in newspapers. And that was also just in a sudden way, I write down a column and I share to the newspaper, and that got published. So I got, okay, I can do that. I started working on my communication skills, on myself, like your own development. And with that, started reading, starting exploring the different people, like making communications. So this was actually the point. After this whole scenario, I started finding myself, I would say. And I think that's the most important thing of life.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, before we go any further, I want to say that you have a wonderful way with words. You're very eloquent as a speaker, and for somebody who grew up shy and everything like that, the way that you're speaking and communicating now, it's amazing, I must say. And also, I also would like to say to you, it's not a question, but I'm just saying that the bravery that you've shown to do what you do, to step out of what is considered normal and to do things your own authentic way, it's a very it's first of all, it's very inspirational for people watching that because many people feel confined in the expectations that are placed on them and not something that is in their own hearts. But also, I must say that stepping out of that and doing things your own way in a conservative country, I'm just going to put it like that, is also a very brave thing as well. And by the way, I have a lot of respect for Pakistan and for Islam and everything, but nonetheless, there is the expectation of women being following certain roles, and the fact that you stepped out of that, it takes tremendous bravery, and I really think that it's a very valuable life lesson for people listening to this to by discovering what you're not, you discover what you really are by the contrast. And sometimes
Absolutely.
it's a very sharp contrast sometimes, but nonetheless. So I just wanted to underpin that as a very valuable life lesson. And around this time, I came across that you've written more than 300 articles now. Am I correct in saying that, or maybe more by the time of this interview? Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like then I started writing down and I started even writing like every day a column. It's an article, right? And I started to publish in different newspapers. Yeah, before that, so that's true. It's just like you had that, I would say hunger. So when you have hunger in yourself, then you try to use your full potential and you put your whole efforts. And yes, the other thing I was like, I really like want to share like expectation as you share, like we are get bounded by the expectations. So there, yes, that's fine. But there I learned that like even in when you are within the expectations and somehow you're not able to fulfill that. So it's that hurts you more, right? And even if you're fulfilling, still that hurts you. So in both ways, you are basically kind of hurting your own self. And when you are hurting your own self, you're not happy. Like you can't be happy. And when you're not happy, that also hurt the people whom you love, right? So it's basically you need to learn, right? There was an important, you need to learn that how to come out of these expectations and how to take your own decision. That there I'm working on, I'm still working on that. I am like, if I look back at that point, and what if I think there was something wrong, and if there was some effort that I didn't put at that time, that was that I didn't took my own decisions. I didn't took my own responsibility. I was like, okay, my mother should take my decision because I was not ready to accept that responsibility. What would happen later? If something wrong would happen, how I'll make it correct? After that, when you start learning, taking your own decisions, things get okay. Right, things even with the passage of time, when like things showing results from the way you are working on, the people around you starting loving you, they are not against you. They don't know they don't know the new things. So when they don't know the new things, they are also afraid of those new things like you are. So because of that fear, they just don't want you to lose simply. They just want you to lose. So that's why they are just like they don't want you to come out of that zone because they are also not aware of that. And but if you're not if you're not coming out of that zone, you can't fully explore yourself and you can't fully achieve what you want to achieve. Yes, in Pakistan is conservative. I wouldn't like this word, but yeah, people are very modern, people are very they support their women, they support their things are traditional, their things are a little bit different, like because that's happening since years. So people are like, okay, so they have, but they are finding out the weird, even if there's someone supporting women, so that's their men and that's their fathers majorly, right, for daughters, right? But yeah, people, things would take time little bit to also change that roles, and I think that's globally, yeah.
Absolutely, it is changing, and it's very much a balance, isn't it? With these things, it's about
Absolutely,
balance in life.
absolutely.
But yeah, nonetheless, I do think the support is there very much. But I think it's a very brave decision that you stepped out to follow your own path. And really, I would like to further the progression of that. So, you were going through this time, and oh, and by the way, my condolences with the loss of your father as well, because you mentioned that, and that
Yeah.
that must have been a very hard time. So I must just say, just for you. But yes, coming out of these hardships and into the later phases, obviously you were writing and you followed your dream there. But then you diversified more into some of the multiple income streams and some of the other things you were doing. So, really, rather than having a specific question about you did this or you did that, looking at it a bit bigger, the fact that you stayed flexible, you stayed diverse, you tried different things that were outside of your comfort zone. How did you approach that mentally, emotionally, even spiritually? Because you're working in different areas and trying different things. If you understand what I mean with this, how you were feeling inside, working towards new challenges and new opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think financial independence is very important. That's uh, that's a culture there, I think, in your country. But here, that's the thing. In Asia, it's also like in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. There, we live with our families. And even at the age of 60, 40, 30, it's like a community. So we live together. So with that also, kids don't have lots of responsibility on them if parents are working, so parents are supporting them even if they sometime at the age of 30. That's not the culture there. People have to be on, I think, at 18 or later, the most of the people started working. So but now things are also changing here, with a lot of financial pressure, and I had to do that because I think I might not able to, but my that's my situation. After my father's death, I find out that I feel that responsibility. So when I feel that I should get independent as early as possible. So first I started my startup. Now it's like working. It's just like going okay. At that time, it's actually it really went well because I was fully giving my attention to that. But later my personality is like that. I need to do multiple things. That's how my personality feel okay, and that's how my personality feel recharged, and feel is the purpose. So I also moved towards the other thing. Yes, so I started in my last semester of university. I started working on even in university. I find out the ways. I did freelancing, and in freelancing, initially at that time, I used to work even for 18, 20 hours in pandemic, right? I really want to earn as much as I can. With that, my target was that I want to have a car in my, so I got that. And 6 months of after my graduation, it was certainly not the second hand. It was not very, because whatever I got, I just that was what I wanted. So I achieved that. It was, though I think small thing, but that was a good thing and big thing for me. So I got that. I need to support my family. I did that. I established few things for them. But again, I also realized that with that you're getting money, but your mental health is really demolishing. With that, your health is also, you're destroying it. So, girl, you need to think about what you are doing. And that's actually, uh, is that actually your purpose of life? And are you really happy? And honestly, after that, yes, again, there was two times when mental health really like really seriously hit to me. First, it was 2016 after my dad, and then in 2021 after pandemic and all that, at the end of. So that really, like, I have to think about. And in the so in the mental health, I need to consider, and then I focused on few things. Focus on the things that actually making me happy, and that were where I was getting good money. I still say, like, You shouldn't compromise on your basic needs. And yes, their financial independence is the most important thing. Like once you're ready, though even I'm say, if I had not worked at that time, I think 20 hours, I might not able to think about even these things. Like you need to pay your own bills, need to uh, buy your own expenses. And then certainly the other things comes around, need to pay the expenditure of your food. These are the important things. When you're able to get that, these basic things, yeah, and certainly you don't need to be more into money. If you're happy, focus on your other things, your happiness, your mental health, your health. These are the important things. And that's what I'm exploring, and I learned that in 2022, that okay, there go, getting dollars, getting money is important, but with that, these things are also important. And yes, with that, and there are other thing also, like now I am also doing multiple things. Uh, I think that this is the era where you really, I don't think you can't be, depend on one stream of income. You there must be some up, I think there must be some updating system or there's something back up there, which can support you at the time when time is not right, at least. And because things are not very stable here, it's very, like now, right now, world is very uncertain. And it's more about the balance now, like how we're trying to balance. And this is what most of the people around the globe are trying to find out. So there, you need to think about also a backup option. Yes, first focus on yourself, on your health, with your also your basic needs. And with that, yes, the backup option. And with for that, I must say, technology, I'm not very supportive very now technology, but technology is also, it's like it's your servant. People are not your servant, technology is, so utilize it. We need to adopt it for certain, for certain way of options. We have to adopt it, we need it, because it's going to support you. It makes your work easier. You don't need to adopt it for your personal life and all that things. Yes, for your work, you need the support of it. So yes, people need to, need to learn these AI tools for their work. So yes.
Wow. Well, it's a wonderful description again, and I must say I love the depth of wisdom that you share with everything that you share. It really is
Thank you.
wonderful, and your talent as a speaker really shines forward in this way. As well as this, when we were talking earlier before we started recording this, you sent me sort of a breakdown of some of the work you're doing. Um, Last year and this year, 2023, 2024, and you've diversified further by the looks of it. And I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit about some of those projects. I know that it's quite a big question because you cover a lot of things, but you've continued to diversify, you've continued to evolve as a person, and that's really where I'm looking at this from. Is, as you've already said, we can't depend on one stream of income. Um, the mental health message, by the way, very powerful because that affects so many people. I've been there with 18, 20-hour days, and I know what you mean. It's not very nice. So anyway, that's a very important message. But yes, with some of the projects you're doing now, could you give us a little bit of a breakdown of those, please? Because I think that people will be interested to hear the different aspects of that, please.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as I was saying, like my personality really want multiple things. So with that, that's a one problem with me. Like people say you need to focus on one thing. That's where you can find out the stability. And that's where I am lacking. But that makes me happy. I find out that. So I think that's important. So because of that, I really involve into multiple things, recently, like exploring the online world of earning and all that. Then I find out it's not really perfect, and that specific, I think it's globally, like people are like showing lots of things, and their whole world surrounds around along these online world, right? These social media platforms, they are whole world, and that's actually really fulfilling the purpose of life. That was a question, and I didn't find it right. So I started working uh, on physically on the community level. So rather than previously, I also did lots of podcasts, even hundreds of that, right? I communicate with the people globally. I still do that because that's what somewhere, that's one part of my, that's very important. And I need that. But with that, I started also focusing on physically on the community around me, because where I can actually interact, that there's a wonderful interaction. But we are humans, we need the physical interaction. As we were saying, we can't like now we are just like house, or am I audible, are you audible, we can't handshake, we can't hug each other. We need that, we humans, we need that, we can't live without. So we also that, like we are showing off our things, our cars, our these 30, but that's actually making us hollow from the inside. We are not, there are lots of young people, they are insidely in their room, they are somehow from like in their hearts and in their inner self, they are kind of dying. They are like, that's really killing them. They show their, like, nobody post their failures on the social media, honestly, right? So then with that, there are some stories like, that's my story, like where you are saying that you are earning multiple things. So people are also getting into scams. People are like, we know if we get that thing, we worked, as I shared, 20 hours. We didn't know there was no night thing. There was no like family life at that time. There was nothing. You're just focusing on. And then you earn that thing. People think it's just like when people in these camps, people are like, you don't need to do anything, and you're just you, and you will gain things, right? People trapped in that scam, and specifically here, women, my target. So I always say there's no work, like where without work, I don't think people can achieve something. I never achieved. If so, there's some way, I don't know, might be, but even there's no shortcut, because in my life experience, that doesn't happen. So we trapped into that, and that also that affected lots of young people. So that was my one of the project, working with the community, with the women around me, and getting aware them about digital literacy. That's my one of the project, basic digital literacy, where the right use of internet and social media. Because yes, this is important to learn the use of, as we were saying, technology, but with that also the right use of, and with critical knowledge, it's important. So I really like, if you these days, if you want to give your kids anything, and your younger ones, let them know how to critically analyze the things. And if they are able to analyze the thing critically, then let them free, because then they will find out the answers. They will find out the ways. So that's what important these days. That's what, and then with that, yes, the other projects is climate change. We all are affecting, because we humans, we are the intelligent ones. We did a lot of wrong things with the nature, and now that are coming back, and that are all are affecting us. So we also need to think about, we also need to work on, because that's in nature where we get everything, but we are not taking care of nature. We are like, we will reach to the moon, and even after reaching to the moon and Mars, we are going to destroy them. It's not right, but yes, we kind of destroy the Earth. So we need to think about that. It's that's this for the nature. And then, as I shared, being a journalist, I like research and finding out, because I had that introvert still personality. I acknowledge that. I admire that now. I am happy about that, that God given me this, because that keep me away from a lot of other toxic things, like the things. I shouldn't be involved. But that make me an observant. So I am into my community and finding out the things like the research behind health issues, climate issues. Majorly, now if I summarize, my work surrounds around three things: education. I'm a part of educational community. Then community work, where we do trainings, sessions, chit chat. This kind of batak we say in our local language. They like this. People sit and they talk and they like share their own opinions about different things. And then about the other thing about the journalism. It's a kind of like investigation and research kind of thing.
Wow. Diversity, as I've already said, flexibility and evolution, bravery, many of the things that I've already said, but I think it's incredible. First of all, the impact that you're having, and also well, as I keep saying, the diversity, you have to do multiple things. I love that. I
Yeah.
have the same trait actually, which is it's usually good. Sometimes it's a lot to deal with, but it's mostly,
Yes, yes.
it's mostly good. But um, we've talked about some good things here. As we move into the latter phase of this and the last few topics, I'd like to take this opportunity to summarize some advice for young entrepreneurs and people who are starting out. Now, what is good about this is throughout this talk, we've shared a lot of advice. There's a lot of things you've said that if people are listening properly, they can pick up on and they can put into application in their own lives and everything, whichever type of venture they're focusing on. It doesn't matter that some of the principles apply across the board, as they say. But I would like to summarize any other pieces of advice that you have for people. And I'm saying entrepreneurs not just from the business point of view. I'm saying that because it's the only term I can think of that applies the intangible aspects of what you said. What I mean by that is the balanced lifestyle, the time for family, creativity, because there's a creative element to what you do in the writing. And so I'm using the entrepreneurial term for people who want to live their own authentic lifestyle, their own way. Would you summarize any additional pieces of advice for those people? Because I think there'll be quite a few of those people listening to this. I hope there are. So it would be good to share with them, please. Thank you.
Yeah, first, I'm not successful, like the typical successful. I am not that person. I don't come into that. I am just like a person who's learning and working on herself. With that, yes, I think being an entrepreneur, we our major focus sometime what we want. And that's what I observed here in my community. Your focus should be what the people, your audience want. That should be your main focus. And your research on those people and their needs should be very strong. Like the market research would be very strong. So I think that's the reason I find out that most of these startups are like in laws because they are not working on these things. They are not working on the need of audience, and they are not well aware of the market. So that's for the entrepreneur, and with that for the people would the just like try, yes, figure out your own self, your inner self. I think when you work on your own self and you specifically and you find out what your inner self want, so then you become that person. I think a person that wouldn't get affected with little things, and that person will find out the way in every situation if you are aware of your own self. So most of the time what happen, we are not enough aware of our own selves, though we know multiple things about others and all that, but we don't know what we want. So that's the most important discovery, I think, discovery of life, because I often ask to the God like why he sent us here because things are already perfect in on the earth, but then why he sent us? So there only I get that it's about this, it's about a self-discovery. And with that self-discovery, you also then you also like find out the ways how you can also make peace with the things around yourself and the people.
Absolutely. Well, that's some wonderful advice. And as I've already said, you've shared some fantastic advice that I think will help people listening to this to become happier, healthier, and more fulfilled versions of themselves, become the best versions of themselves. Because as you've shown in your own life, it's also not about what, as you said, about what other people are doing. It's about becoming the best version of who we are, that we can be. And I'm really glad that we were able to distill that, is the best term I can think of, into a few key points. As we move into the last couple of topics with this, and will wrap this up soon, as they say, but as we move into the last couple of topics, obviously the Global Youth Award, I'd like to mention briefly, just for the sake of time, but
Yeah.
I know that you. I know that you have done these many things to find out the best way that you can live, and you haven't done it for recognition. You've done it for your own internal reasons. But being recognized, it is nice. So, what does it mean to you to win something as big as that and to be noticed in that way, please?
Yeah, it's great. And you do that, honestly. I wouldn't deny that. You do things for recognition. I but later you realize that it's really worthy, right? But firstly, you have to experience everything. I think without experiencing, you can't get you actually want or not that. So it was wonderful. It happened later. It was for the work we did in pandemic, and there basically we like launched the classes, like Zoom classes, digital classes from our rooms. So basically, I, with my class fellows from my community, from the university, we launched a program, that's Pakistan Leadership Program, and where we provided the trainings. At that time, it reached to more than 1,000 people. So we were working like that. We had time. So we started we like our leadership program where we had different modules. So that modules that was necessary at that time: leadership, personal development, professional development, and then student, which were necessary things. So we provided them. Then we similarly launched a program, literacy program for the older people. uh, then within that same things were going on, like we also able to reach to the Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. So there we couldn't able to organize the sessions through Zoom because of their internet issues. So we launched a system like where we could have a session with them on WhatsApp. So we organized these things. So it at that time it happened like that way, like by itself it was happening. And later a year later, because of those things, I got that award, Global Youth Award. Like they are able to like in touch with them, and for writings and all these things, because that time I was like also active during through my writings and to sharing on pandemic, on people health and all that. So for that I got. At that time, certainly it was a wonderful. You wanted that, right? After that, I also like try to, when you once you get one, I think you want more. So also later, I try to, get the title of youngest book author, then other different titles. But once you get that, then you really think like, because what would happen, we would start it happen, like I achieved an award. So now, rather than enjoying that moment, my focus was like, what's the next? And that later, that really like kind of it really caused like irritation, and that also bothered me and raised a question: are you really doing the right thing, and is it what you are doing? So yes, still like you want recognition after some time. and after for you things. But when you are just after, one another, you are just so then that shift your focus, I think, from your work to those things. And I think getting recognition these days is not difficult at all. If you're doing good work, and even not doing, if you know how to present your work, how, then it's not difficult. You can get recognition easily. If you know, if you're good at presenting your work, and you know that.
Absolutely. Well, it's a very worthy achievement to mention, but at the same time, I like what you're saying there about the intention behind what you're doing. It's a very important topic as well, doing things for the right reasons. So, the last couple of things. First of all, an important question here, now that we've talked about all of this, people who wish to contribute to the work that you do in some way, or obviously this will manifest in different ways across the different things, but basically on the topic of contribution, how can people reach out to you in order to do that if they're hearing this? Say if somebody's hearing this in another country and they think, wow, I really like what Asma's doing, I'm going to reach out to her and say I want to help in this way, that way. How would you advise that they do that, please?
Yes, really, they can reach out through social media. It's also, I am kind of everywhere. It's just now I say, but I'm there on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. With that, they can also reach out to me through my email. That's the most effective way, I think. So I can share with you, and if they are interested and they really want, yes, there are people we are connecting globally, and the purpose of that global, I think that's important, that technology helped us. That with that, we are actually connecting in a way that previously the assumptions and the ideas, the theories were there surrounding. Now that were like kind of diminishing. Now people are understanding each other, and with that understanding, the respect is increasing. So they are understanding each other and their needs, and so that's important, and that's the cause I really connect with my global community, and specifically the young, among the young people. And yes, we do, it's also like a better conversation. We discuss our issues, up our minds, and we learn from each other. Most importantly, we learn from each other. So yes, they can reach out to me through social media and also through my email.
Wonderful. Well, I know that you're very accessible and you're very prolific in your reach and in your content. I mean that as a compliment. I really enjoy your content as well. I've seen some of the inspirational quotes on Instagram and some of the YouTube posts and many different things. It's wonderful. So I hope that people do, and I hope that maybe somebody who has heard this, who wasn't previously aware of your work, maybe now they will reach out and help you. The last couple of things before we finish this up, the last couple of things. First of all, when you've had all of this impact on the world so far, you've inspired people to make decisions they maybe would not have made without your influence. You've shown people that there's another way of living. You've brought people together in the community. You've empowered women. You've done a lot of different things with the reach of this. When you look at it yourself, though, how do you personally measure the impact that you're having on people in terms of when you look back at all of these things? Obviously, you're making a big difference. Somebody from the outside can see, but from the inside of your own life, how do you sort of quantify or understand the impact it's had on an individual level, if that makes sense, please?
Yeah, I think I get that. Yeah, I find it good. First of all, again, I started calculating these things from myself. First of all, like whatever I'm learning, like with that, I'm also like applying these things in my life, and then in my families, in my surroundings, and my fellows. and later on then my digital and community. So I find there my basic purpose actually, my actual purpose, like always be there, is that like whatever I'm doing, it's actually like somewhere that affect the people in a way like that they can make decisions by themselves and they are able to like not they don't need to follow me for everything later. My work should be like that, that make them independent, and with that make them enough capable that they starting solving the things by themselves, and with that also supporting the people among among their community. And that happened like after our startup Pakistan leadership program. There many of our fellows, number of our fellows, they started their own initiatives in Thar, in Punjab, right, in Sindh, certainly in Sibi, that's part of Sindh. That's one of the province. Then in ours again, in the refugees Bangladesh. So they taken their own initiatives. They don't need to come to me every time. My work should be like that, that make them capable. And after that, they they take their own responsibility and then move on. I feel like you're just a passenger. And I also have this mindset, even within my family. Like, I don't need to support anyone throughout the life. I, if I'm doing something, my setup should be like this, that make the other person enough able that that person lead his and her life by themselves and by and that always my purpose. And that I figure out. I find that things in my friends also like some that was a good thing, like my friends, like initially when I started this, I was like starting the different things. I had different taste, even my life, among everything, like in every, and that bothers me initially, when you suddenly you appear with a different thing among the people, and that's not, they are not aware of that. So that bothered me initially, like why you always like different, you always like have to do something crazy, you're insane. So oh, it's just like that. But I find that I continued my things, like I continued what I want, and that impacted in a way in my friend circle. Initially the friends that used to say what you are doing and used to target me, later they followed their dreams, they followed their passions, and they starting doing the things. They came out of their own comfort zone and they starting the things. Even in my family, I used to do a lot of wood creating, and I was like, when I was a kid, I used to say that to my younger sister, and they were like, we never will do that. Keep them to yourself. And now I'm seeing that I think every person in my home has a book and they're doing reading. Now I don't have like I these days I don't have the time to read, but they are doing. My mother, she is 50. She daily read book. Then my younger sisters, even the one, they read book, and that's good. You continuously practicing those things and they adopt that. If you're doing that, I think that works.
Absolutely, it is wonderful the impact you've had on so many people and the way that you touch people's lives. It's profound, and it's. I really think that having a positive impact on people is, in my opinion, the highest thing that we can aim for in life. It's the highest aim in life is to do something beyond just ourselves that reaches other people. And you've done that already so many times in so many ways. And I'm sure that you will continue to do so as well because I have no doubt that you will continue to evolve and continue to adapt into new
Inshallah.
challenges. I would like to thank you very much for your time at this stage, Asma. I hope that we've uh, covered enough of everything that you
Absolutely.
do. And I hope that we've done it justice because that was the biggest thing when I was preparing for this was how do we condense it into something simple for people. But it's wonderful, and I must say that I really enjoyed the life lessons you shared. I've really enjoyed hearing about your story, and I've personally taken away knowledge and lessons from this, and I'm sure that other people will as well. I also want to say, lastly, before we finish, because I'll have to go in just a moment, that the way you've spoken from the heart is wonderful as well. You know, you've really spoken very, as well, as soon as you're talking about books, you've been an open book today. Let's put it that way. And that's a really, really wonderful thing. So I'm very grateful for your time. Yes, I am. But I'm more grateful for you being open about your life and about the highs and lows and everything that you've learned. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, thank you. It's very wonderful. And yes, I feel like honesty is very important actually. And that's what when you really talk from the heart, that's what connect the people. And that's actually what matter. And then the impact happen. And even through the conversation. So now I just do one thing, like wherever I go, I try to listen the people. And I think that's important. These days, that's listen each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Listen to each other and be present for each other, and many good things follow from there. Well, thank you again so much for your time. I extend my best wishes to your family, to
Thank you.
your loved ones as well. I hope that they all stay well, and obviously they will continue following their dreams through your example. I will release this interview soon, and I will send it to you when it's released. So the only thing I'd say, if you could share it as well, I would be very grateful for that. And I'll share it as much as I can my side, so that new people hear about your story and your work. Basically, that's the aim of this. And we'll just go from there. But I really look forward to keeping an eye on your work, and hopefully we can keep in touch. And maybe even
Absolutely.
when you've done a lot more, which I'm sure will be very soon, we can do an episode two or something like that, and talk again. But for now, we'll get this one out there. And thank you again for your time. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was really wonderful conversation. Thank you for your questions, even they were wonderful.
Oh, I'm pleased. I'm pleased to hear that we did that justice. Well, you enjoy your evening. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.